Guys, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but the Bucks are NBA champions. This is one of, if not the best story that we've seen in the NBA in like a decade. Giannis, I'm looking at him right now. He's crying. He should be crying. He makes the decision to stay in Milwaukee. Yeah, he's bawling. This is a great story. I love this. He's crying because of everything he's been through, everywhere he's been. When he was a kid in Greece, he didn't even have enough food. When his team would give him food to eat, he would take it back home and split it amongst his brothers and him. And no one even knew about him 7 months before he got drafted. He gets drafted. He decides to stay in Milwaukee, sign the 5-year Supermax when we all thought he was going to flip to a big market team. But he did not. He stayed in Milwaukee, and then immediately he gets rewarded with an NBA championship. This is unbelievable. Giannis now has NBA champion on his legacy. No matter what, no one can take this away from him. He can now throw his hat in the ring with the greatest players of all time. Because I know we talk a lot about ring count and ring chasing, but I think we all agree that Giannis winning one in Milwaukee means a little more than, say, Kevin Durant winning 2 in Golden State. Giannis's one in Milwaukee means a little more than all of LeBron's in Miami, right? Maybe not his one coming back from down 3-1. But now Giannis has a stake to claim that he is the best player in the NBA. He is the best player alive. Think about it. He wins an MVP at 24 years old. He wins an MVP at 25 years old with a Defensive Player of the Year. And then he wins a Finals MVP at 26 years old. So this man, 3 straight years of pure dominance, and the Bucks take steps, losing along the way in the postseason, and then they finally cap it off with a championship. And so Giannis can easily say, I am the best player alive. I'm the best basketball player alive. Better than LeBron James, better than Kevin Durant, better than Kawhi Leonard. Now, I would not take him in a one-game scenario over Kevin Durant or a healthy LeBron James necessarily, but I think right now we would all say, if I had a team right now to start a team with, who would I take the next 5 years, best player alive? We'd take Giannis, because he's might not be as skilled as Kevin Durant, but he is a better two-way player than Kevin Durant and LeBron James at this point. Giannis is healthier than Kevin Durant and LeBron James at this point, and Kawhi Leonard. When you put it all together with the championship, I think we can say that Giannis is the best player alive, which is insane. I would have to look at the box score, but what was it, 16 of 17 from the free throw line, about 50 points, 20 rebounds. He's only the second guy of all time to have 3 40-point, 20-board games in a final series. It's him and Shaq, and that's it. So, as Shaq would say, at least Giannis is the most dominant player in the NBA. 17 of 19, David comes up. And 5 blocks. Yes, cool guy. Yes, Steph Curry absolutely has Steph Curry has a case to be made as well. But my whole point with Giannis being better than Steph is that Giannis is younger, he's healthier, he's a better two-way player than Steph. Giannis just won Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. One of the few guys to ever do that. So this just says so much about Giannis's legacy. Chris Middleton, I was wrong. Yes, Chris Middleton is good enough to be a championship number 2, which I didn't think was the case. Clearly, it's the case. Tomorrow's video, dropping at 5 Eastern as always, will kind of rank the Bucks championship in terms of where do they rank among champions the last 10 years. I'll be honest, I really don't think that the Bucks are like great champions. They got lucky when Kevin Durant's toe was on the line. The Bucks got lucky when the Nets were so injured. The Bucks got lucky that Giannis didn't get injured. I mean, Giannis with that hyperextended knee, he should have injured his knee, right? So yeah, the Bucks got lucky along the way a lot. Now you could say every champion gets lucky, and that's true. But in this season where we had so many superstar injuries, I don't think the Bucks had, a really, really difficult path. They played the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. No offense, but they didn't have the toughest path. I wouldn't take the Bucks as a elite champion over the Warriors or the Heat or the Spurs, but I'm kind of giving away tomorrow's video. I don't want to do that. And I'm going to rank them. But who cares? None of that matters, really. What matters is that they're champions. No one can take this away from them. John Horst, the GM, he totally messed up that trade in the offseason with Bogdan Bogdanovic, right? But he doesn't have egg on his face because winning cures all. Mike Budenholzer isn't a good coach. Mike Budenholzer can't make adjustments. None of it matters. He just coached a championship team. So all of the people ragging on Mike Budenholzer right now today, they're wrong. And Bud is right. And Giannis's decision to stay in Milwaukee is absolutely correct. Giannis is about to lift the Finals trophy and the Finals MVP trophy. We're about to see that on TV. This is unbelievable. There's so much to be said about this right now. So much to be said. Chris Paul, we've gotten 6 minutes into this live reaction, haven't talked about Chris Paul. Look, I feel bad for him. I know that he's injured, okay? But the way Chris Paul melted down after game 2 was embarrassing. It was awful. Chris Paul, the amount of turnovers that he had, the fact that he went from a mid-range god to, average was awful. Horrible. This is going to be on Chris Paul's legacy. Chris Paul's legacy is as not just one of the greatest players to never win a chip, but also one of the greater playoff chokers. And he hasn't choked in every single series. I get that. With the Clippers, he choked bad. With OKC, obviously, he choked bad Game 7 against Houston. But nothing compares to what we saw from the choke job from Chris Paul here in the finals. If he was seriously injured, that is a legitimate excuse. But he himself said, look, my injury is not that big of a deal. So if we're to believe him, then this was a straight-up choke. And that goes on Chris Paul's legacy forever. He's still a great player. He's still one of the greatest point guards of all time. Obviously, I'm just saying he goes from top 5 point guard of all time to, one of the great point guards, an all-time point guard, not one of the top 5. So I think what we're doing is, we're just kind of defining these guys' legacies with this game. And this was just unbelievable. A great Game 6 from the Bucks, not a great Game 6 from the Suns. Devin Booker, big props to the Bucks defense. They came out, they contained Devin Booker, and they knew they had to do that. And Giannis just took over, man. He took over. For all of the talk about, how Giannis was very shaky at the free throw line. It's not a physical thing. It's him up here when he gets at the free throw line. He's thinking too much. The crowd's getting to him with the counting. He took over. He just buried all that stuff. What I love about what Giannis did was, it's not just like he won Finals MVP by default, because we all knew, Giannis is going to win Finals MVP. It's cool that he wins, but he also, goes and takes it. You know what I mean? So it was a dominant Game 6, a dominant win. I love this. Just so great. Just so great. Such a good story, man. For a small market team to win a chip is always such a good story for the NBA. You know what I mean? All right, guys. Let's. So that's kind of my initial reaction, guys. It's so great. I love it. But tomorrow's video is going to be kind of about ranking this championship and trying to put it in perspective. But this is amazing. All right, guys. So. What do we got here? Do you guys have any questions? Let's just chat about this for the next few minutes. Obviously, if you have a super chat, much appreciated. But if you're a AM Hoops member, obviously, I will get to your question as well, obviously. You're screwed if Giannis is making free throws. That's such a good point, dude. Is Giannis the best player alive today? Asked David. Yes, because of his health. I was debating between him and Kevin Durant. doesn't KD feel brittle to you at this point? I mean, look, obviously KD's the better player. But the fact that Giannis can put it all together with the clutchness, which is huge, the defense, he can take over offensively, and the fact that he's healthy. Do you think Chris Paul is going to stay? That's a great, great question, Juju. I don't know. The bigger question for me is who's going to pony up the big money to take him. But yeah, Giannis wins Finals MVP. That's beautiful. I love it. Wow. Good for him. You root for Giannis, don't you? Because he's like, he's a humble, authentic, loyal guy. Like, you really like to see a guy like Giannis win all this, don't you? It's so good. Yes, this is the most unlikely champion. I totally agree. Raja says, is this the first unlikely champion after the Dallas Mavericks? So, Raja, you know what I would say about that is the 2015 Warriors were not supposed to win that because the Cavaliers kind of had a super team with Kyrie, Kevin Love, and LeBron. But a lot of those Cavs players got injured. So would you call the 2015 Warriors unlikely? No, because of the injuries, right? So I agree with you. This is the most unlikely chip since 2011. All right, let's see. AI or CP3? I'm going to give the nod to AI. Do you think Giannis is the biggest rags to riches story? You know what, dude? I think a lot of especially doing Feature Fridays, like, I really have seen just how, how poor some of these players are. It's just some of the backgrounds of NBA players are sad. So it's definitely an inspiring rags to riches story. I don't know if it's the most. Have you seen Caleb Swanigan's story? It's legitimately tragic and really sad, and you should look it up if you haven't seen it. All right, 2015 Warriors had the best record in the league. Okay. I mean, but the Bucks had the best record in the league like 2 of the last 3 years. So, thoughts on Booker's playoff performance? He was great, man. Are you kidding? How could you not? How could you have anything but love for Devin Booker's playoff performance? Devin Booker, in his first playoffs, made the finals, and he was great in so many games, so many moments. David says, this is the highest points per game in finals history, right? Dude, I wouldn't doubt that. You should do a Feature Friday on Charlie Ward. Okay, I'll look it up. What are your thoughts on Giannis and Tucker winning a ring before Harden? What are my thoughts on that? I think that Tucker had very little to do with it, so I don't know if I would really say like Giannis and Tucker, like they're like this big two that are winning. Amelia tells me to wear sunscreen because of my freckles, and that I'll thank her later. Thank you, Amelia. I'll thank you now. Would you consider the 2019 Raptors an unlikely championship? Yes, but they also had the benefit of injuries. Does this championship make Giannis the GOAT player of the Bucks? Yes. That's really tough, but that's a really great... I don't want to give a straight-up answer. Jarek, that's a great question. Yes, it does, Jarek, because I think if you were to ask a Bucks fan, and for those of you who don't know, Jarek and I are comparing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to Giannis. So, obviously, Kareem's one of the top whatever players ever. But if you asked a Bucks fan, they would say both of them brought us a championship. Both of them brought us an MVP. But Giannis brought more MVPs, and Giannis chose to stay when Kareem chose to leave for the Lakers. So I think if you asked Bucks fans, they would say yes, Giannis is our favorite and the best Buck of all time. I think that is what a Bucks fan would tell you. What are your thoughts on Cam Johnson? He was great. I just think that some of the young guys and their inexperience showed itself here down the stretch. All right, guys, I got to go because it's late as hell. It is midnight. I got to get up and start cranking on this video for tomorrow. You guys are the best. Amelia says I would be... Oh, that's very, very sweet. I'd be good on ESPN. Well, that's very nice of you to say. All right, guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 5 Eastern. Thank you so much to all the Patreon and YouTube members. We had a great, fun watch party of the finals tonight. We're going to have a draft watch party. We're going to have a free agency watch party. Maybe I'll open that up to the rest of you guys for membership. I don't know. All right, Anthony. Later, dude. I'll see you guys in the chat. Later.